0 to 100k subs in 1 year in a saturated niche like poker. Frankie C was able to beat the YouTube algorithm, and we unfold all these strategies he used to go from averaging a few thousands views to hundreds of thousands in less than a year. And by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how you can replicate his playbook, so do watch until the end. Enjoy! Let's start with your first upload that got 1 million views. I'm curious, how did you start with such a big banger?
Yeah, let's start at the very beginning. I think most creators, including myself, we want to have it all planned out before we go take the shoot, have the title, the thumbnail. We hear that all the time, like have that planned before you ever start. For me, I think that's a great idea, but sometimes you just see the story happening in front of your eyes. I went to go play the biggest buy and pro game I've ever played, so that was my idea. So titling it something about, playing the biggest game I've ever played. And although it was a very trendy thing in the poker niche, it wasn't innovative. And when I played the game, the entire new storyline developed right in front of my eyes. So in the biggest hand that I've ever played, like we have a title right there, but something even more viral happened. And the thing that happened to me was while I was all in, another girl at the table said, after calling, if I beat her, that I owe her a date. And when this happened, I just, stars in my eyes, immediately knew like that was going to be our new storyline. That was going to be the new hook to the video. And that's how I landed with the title, If I Lose This Hand, I Owe My Opponent a Date. And once I wrote that title down for the first time, I was immediately like not changing it. I was locked in. And then just went into the actual creating process. It was a 6-hour stream. I ended up making it about 8 minutes. If I had a little bit more of the knowledge I had now, I think I can make an even longer video, which is something that I've been really bullish on recently, is trying to make the videos, of course, as entertaining as possible, but lengthening it to get the average view duration higher. So something I would change, but of course, when you're making your first video, your editing skills, all of that is a lot less than what I end up knowing now. But the key analytic here is that after 2 days, I was stoked on a brand new channel to hit 1,200 views. It was amazing to me. I remember seeing like a few hundred in the first day, and I was extremely, extremely happy. The packaging, although kind of seems like it has a lot going on, it's pretty simple. It's me looking at her, and I specifically chose screenshots from the live stream of her looking kind of confident, smiling, and me with like a nervous smirk. And the text, I really think that it helps with the contrast of bringing the title and putting the whole packaging together. The title says, if I lose this hand, I owe my opponent a date, right? So that's my perspective. But then the text is coming from her perspective. If I win, we go on date. So although the wording is similar, it's not. It's a little bit different. So throw some big chips in the middle, and then the actual poker hands that we had, and that in the poker niche establishes a little bit more as a recognizable thumbnail. So that's also just understanding the niche that I'm in. I knew that maybe having poker chips and the cards would establish this as a poker video more than just the faces and the text. So I played around a lot with different coloring to go around, her pink, me blue, just kind of made the most sense. And again, picking screenshots of me kind of looking like a nervous smirk, just like the emotion you would expect me to feel when I was in the moment of, if I lose this hand, and she asked me for the date. So trying to just put in the thumbnail exactly the emotion that I was feeling that she might be feeling too. So again,
just if we stay on the title, I'm curious. Yeah. Was that title inspired by a format from other videos, or was it just because of what she said that you put that title?
Yeah, now that I have more than 30, 40 videos under my belt, I'm always constantly using 1 of 10 to try to come up with my ideation and where I might come in. And we can pull up the example of a video that I recently had that did a 1 of 10 on my channel. The title of it was I Gambled 7 days straight in Las Vegas, and that was a video that I found. The thumbnail was inspired from a very popular comparison trend that goes on YouTube, and the green versus red on the coloring at the top. So that's one that I did come up from a different trend and bring it into my own. But here it was just kind of taking word for word what she said and titleizing it into something under 50 characters that I thought would be the easiest to understand in a couple seconds.
And so, okay, so it got 1,200 in the first 2 days, but then how did it blow up? Wow, 100K in a week?
Yes. So within the third day, I had 16,000. At this point, I'm refreshing my YouTube analytics every few minutes. It's the breakthrough point. It's a pretty sick feeling. I remember waking up the next day and it was at 45,000 and just having that surreal moment, smiling to myself like on the side of my bed, like what is happening? And then just every day, progressively getting about 16K views. And then even past that, we're having 60,000 view days. And within the first week, it had 117,000. And it's not because I edited the most perfect video. It's because that I put myself in a situation to make a good video. I was playing the biggest game I ever had. It's a $5,000 buy-in. I normally buy in for a few $100s, like $200-300. So I extended myself for the video, but then the storyline came to me as I was in the moment and just kind of being open to changing the initial idea that you had and transforming it into what is the climax of your story. And very clear the climax of the story was playing this big pot versus her. And then we didn't really see a slowdown. Within 2 weeks we're almost at 200,000, and it just kept progressively going up, a little bit slower after the first 2 weeks, but still climbing views. And again, this was early on in my channel, and I want to get into a little bit more about the follow-up to this video and how I could have maximized it a bit better. But we had 226,000 views on the channel within 30 days on one upload, and the video just never really stopped. And it's a trend that I've seen on my channel, on Frankie C. I do have some experience on a different YouTube channel. I never would see graphs like this that just continued to rise and just continue to rise. Now after 100 days, it's more than 3 months past, and we're still climbing views, getting 350,000 views, and then randomly finding some new spikes where on the 137th day, we're building up another 100,000 subscribers. And then just now we're past the year point, but it just never, of course, like we have a little bit of slowdown periods, but it never really died. It just kept on climbing. And I do think that this has some tribute to some videos I've posted recently that found some new fans and they wanted to come back and see this. But the video itself can appeal to anyone, even if you've never even seen my videos before.
Very impressive for the first video. And then after, what happened? Then afterwards, you started uploading a few.
Okay, so February 19th, 2023. And as I click on to this next video, this was my follow-up to the video. It's the same trip. I just want to follow up the fact that this video is not posted until March 17th. So we had a month delay, and I want to highlight what I think is the biggest mistake that young creators make is trying to hire an editor right off the bat. I was immediately had the success, and I tried to hire an editor to come in and replicate the success that I just did. It's a very hard task for anyone to immediately replicate, a 200,000 view video. And what happened here is I hired someone, and they sent me a video that I just wasn't content that I thought was good enough to be on my channel. So after waiting for 2 weeks to get the video from him, I spent the next 2 weeks re-editing the thing from scratch. And that's why I had a month gap between uploads. I think that you should just continue editing for yourself and keep trying to bring people on, but don't quit that editing process yourself and ever have to be reliant on anyone to get an upload out. Like, you'll find the right editor. I'm still going through the process of finding the right editor. So just keep going with your own editing. And I think that once you have more videos in your catalog that you'll be able to share with your editor, then it'll be much easier to come to a point where he can edit a full video for you without you having to do a bunch of revisions.
I don't know now, but before you used to do all your edits, your thumbnails, everything, basically.
I studied Premiere Pro, and I was like, I need to learn how to do everything on Premiere Pro. I never got into Photoshop, so even the first thumbnail was outsourced. I realized at the very beginning, my Photoshop skills aren't good. I was just making mock-ups, just like drafts. I would basically just draw myself and her in the left, and I would say I want text in the middle, and I would outsource. For the very first video that got me 1 million views, I think I paid $5 for that thumbnail. So it's not always about price.
Nice. $5 for 1 million views. That's a good ROI.
Yes, most definitely. And the second video, I think if we look at the packaging, this has been changed since launch. It says how I lost $10,000 at poker. but found love. This was actually an idea that we ideated together, Richard, Vex, and I.
So just like Frankie said, we've helped him ideate this video, but also worked on multiple 1 million plus views videos. And Frankie's not alone. The 1 of 10 strategy team has been behind the scenes helping so many other creators in all kinds of niches to accelerate their growth on YouTube. They'll help you plan your content strategy for the next 3 months by researching the market and making data-driven decisions around ideas, titles, and thumbnails, as well as optimizing all your videos before uploading. So if you want to blow up your channel in the next 90 days, you can go on oneof10.com/strategy and book a call. Now back to the pod.
Initially, it was about my luckiest one-day trip ever. And, looking at this packaging, I do think there's a lot more going on in this than there needs to be. In this video, again, another important note for creators, one successful video doesn't mean a successful channel. I got about 20,000 views on this video.
Indeed. And I do know it's not just that one, right? It's also the next 2 uploads as well. They were around even less than 10K, I think, views each.
We look at the second video, we're at 6,000 views in 3 days. And the other one was already around 40. We already had about 40,000 views.
You as a new YouTuber, right? You have that big banger. You have 500,000 views at that point when uploading these other videos. You're not getting as much views, right? How do you feel? How do you take those?
I feel disappointed for sure. The best part about my personal journey being a creator is that I never blame the algorithm. I never blame I don't even blame myself. I just try to find out how it could have been better and how I could have maximized the video and try to learn from it. Because I went into this process because I just really enjoyed making the video and telling stories. So I just look at this video and I was like, dang it, this one missed a bit. Whether it was with packaging, we learned a few things about the initial packaging that was launched. And this is even like the 3rd or 4th variation of the thumbnail. I do think that it's easy to attach the value of yourself on how the video is doing. But for me, I was like, okay, this is video number 2. This is kind of where let's take a bit of a perspective jump and think, if we said we had 10,000 views in the first week on our second video, we would be stoked. So don't let the success of one video completely gauge how your video and your channels should be doing.
Great advice, because that's what I want people to understand, is that you just got to keep at it. There's going to be slow times and high times, but during the slow times, you just got to keep uploading. And then what you did well is you kept optimizing. You kept trying to understand how to get better, how to improve. Like that's, I think, when we started working together, you always have in mind to keep improving, which is what everyone here should listen. Like actually, if you go in your channel content real fast, if you go back, and then analytics, and then see live count, top right, there you go, and you put lifetime. So when we see this graph of lifetime, that's when you understand the perspective. Like, okay, you'll have those slow times. What we're talking about right now is during, I think, summer 2023. But then you see how when you widen the view, it's just little improvements there and there. And that's how you ended up getting 100K in a year. And that's what we're going to find out. What's next after that? Slow time. Yeah.
And the last thing I want to point out between the first and second video is the fact that my first video had over 2 million impressions, and the other one only had 160,000 at the month mark. So there was something about the video that YouTube deemed, I wasn't worthy to be shown out to as many people. And the story itself, just comparatively, is just not as interesting. So I just saw that and I was like, okay, let's keep telling interesting stories. Let's not let ourselves attach ourselves to this video being a failure. It's just more of a learning lesson than it was a failure. And that does bring me into a failure. This is a video. This is my third video, and we could see there's a gap between March 17th and July 21st. And I gave you the advice as a young creator not to rely on an editor early or try to hire an editor and just push the entire video to be edited by someone else. And I'm telling this lesson because I learned it the hard way. I had a video that was blowing up, 300,000 views. The second video is still at 20,000 views, which is a good number for early on beginning channel. And then I didn't post from March 17th to July 21st. And it was because this video, I ended up waiting for an editor. This is my 16th version because he kept sending me videos that I wasn't happy with. And I kept having to go back and forth and back and forth. And when you don't have your own creative touch to the project and you're just sending him notes, it's not the best creative flow. At this point, a year later, I have the project file at all times where I hop into the project file and I could touch small things up, make that micro cut that they don't see, but as an editor, it just comes natural to you. It's something that you can't really explain and just like 001 cut this. So having the project file is super important to me as an editor to work with my future editors, because this video was something that I think was a good idea that was taken into way too short of a product and not told in the best story. The idea was that I would buy 10 dealers in my local casino into a poker tournament where the prize would be $100,000. And again, this title has been revamped. The thumbnail has been revamped a bit, and you'll see that this video was a total failure comparatively to the first two videos. Only 1,600 views, 1,800 views in the first month. And I attribute a lot to this to the story not being able to be really realized in this short of a video with as much content that I had. If I had edited it, I would have probably put a 20 to 30 minute video on it and made you more emotionally attached to the people, because I was working with some really cool people. And just as a financial note, I had flown a videographer to film this video with me into Oklahoma, and the whole, from him videoing it to editing it, I was down $5,000. So I spent $3,000 to fly him out. It was he was an extremely talented videographer, the best I've ever worked with. However, the editing and videographing skills aren't always equivalent. Like, you could be the best videographer or the best editor, but they don't always match together. And I just wish I would have had my own editing prowess on this video, and I think that this video could have been more success. And as you can see, even on videos that have been completely dead forever, at least when your channel picks up in other ways, you at least start to pick up some views. So the video wasn't sitting at 2K views now as it used to be. So I'm happy to see that it's gotten some traction as people just enjoy my content and get recommended all my videos on their feed, and they'll just click on all Frankie C videos. And we'll get into this fact, but the most important thing I want to say to creators, the most underrated value that we will never see on the statistics page is the viewer satisfied. And every time I make a video, I really think about, does this leave you satisfied? You watch the entire video, does it make you feel like it was a worthy time investment? And in this day and age, our time is, it's the currency that it's always important to us. So
after each of those videos got about a few thousand views each, then you got a few bangers. My girlfriend won a 500K poker tournament, and I took 40K loan to play the Queen of Poker. But then you got that 1 million views again. I went undercover, a high stakes poker game. I want to deep dive more into that one. So your next 1 million views is right there. How did you come up with that title thumbnail idea, which I remember quite well?
Yeah, so after 6 months of having a few relatively disappointing uploads and a few that were a bit better, but still nowhere near that first video, right? That elusive first video that just blew up. I finally came up with the idea of this concept, and it's, again, a concept that has been used a lot on YouTube. But it's kind of transformed into my niche, into poker. The video is called I Went Undercover in a High Stakes Poker Game. And what I found appealing about this game is the fact that I'm a professional poker player and these players weren't. So it's less about the game is hard to get into, but more of I shouldn't be there because I'm a professional and the amateurs don't want professionals in this game. So undercover was the buzzword, the key buzzword that we left in there. And then the ending was just the one that needed to be tweaked into the most easy to understand. So high stakes poker game. You obviously know that it's a big poker game. So I shouldn't be there. So the packaging was really, really important to what I believe is success of the video. Richard, Vex, and I, we put together this really cool concept of we're using the rule of thirds in a way here, where I'm the focus on the right, but you can very clearly see the 2/3. We got a poker table and labeling them as amateurs, and just using some AI to put some people in here holding cards, and small nuanced detail, but I have a bigger stack than them, so it kind of gives you the idea that I'm taking their money and winning a big prize. I think this video came out perfect. The setting seems like we're kind of in this underground room and in a place that would be impossible for the general public to get to. And then the actual execution of the video was well done, where I started again with this idea, the thumbnail of me with the hoodie up. I started the video with me in my hoodie up saying I'm undercover. Pros are not allowed to be here. So just reaffirming the title right away can get people to stick around a little bit longer. I do think that a mistake that was made was a little bit too much explanation about the game, which lost us a little bit in this area. We started so hot, 76% at 28, and I think we could have rode this a little bit higher. A mistake that I made was giving too much information early on in the video. When you're early in the video, get to the action. I know Richard and I talked about this after. Get to the action immediately. You can explain things as you go. No overload of information. We're not trying to confuse anyone. Let them casually enjoy it instead of making them be forced to really pay attention and try to get all the information now. So that's a learning lesson that I think this video could have even had more views than it did. But yeah, this was an immediate success. Within 2 weeks, it had 91,000, and this is on a channel with only
at the time was I just checked 10,000, less than 10,000 subs.
Yeah, so to have 91,000 views, the channel less than 10K subs was obviously a huge success. Yep. And the video just kind of has its own peaks, but never really died down, never slowed off. And, after 3 months, we're at almost 250,000 views. And I think around this point, we realized that this was going to be, another 1 million view video. And that was, it's obviously very exciting to have those moments, and definitely something that I have used in future packaging, this concept of me on the right third, players on the left, and then kind of reusing this idea that I know worked and putting it into some future stories of mine.
Yeah, that's actually a great point that people tend to forget, is that once you have a viral format, you got to keep reusing either the format of, the idea of the video, or even just the thumbnail, right? So like you did, if I win, we go on a date. And then after you did, if I lose, it's all over. And that got 300K views. And then we'll talk about the big one with 2.5 million views afterwards later. Definitely. But the amateurs versus pro, I saw you did it a few times as well, and every time. So that you did well to just keep remixing what's worked. Basically your outliers on your own channel.
Yeah, and I haven't done it yet, but I've had a lot of ideas, and I'm working the connections where I went undercover in Dan Bilzerian's poker game. I went undercover in, let's say basketball players' poker game. Clearly there's some more, it's a category of videos that I can really establish on my channel as something to be successful in the future.
Also on that video, basically, I think one reason it did so well as well is that there's a lot of amateur poker player in the world. So this is very broad appeal. So then a person who just plays with his friends poker, he is interested to see how a pro would crush in an amateur's game. So it's really relatable. And I think that's another reason why I got 1 million views. And then after, again, you got that little downtime, right?
Much less than when they were posted. So we're seeing, this biggest poker win in my life was hanging around 20,000 views. Worst gambling day of my life was hanging around 10, 12,000 views, which is about how many subscribers I had at the time. And again, we're just reemphasizing the point that although you put everything in each video, they're not all going to be home runs, but not letting that get you down. And even, a few of these videos that I thought just were going to stick around 20,000 views, 8 months later, biggest poke win in my life is at 190,000 views. And this video was not doing those numbers at the beginning. We're seeing 25,000 views, 17 days, very stagnant, and then just taking off later on because people are just enjoying the content. So build your catalog of fire videos. They're going to find you at your viral videos, and they're going to go watch you at your not viral videos. That's the formula.
And so I'm curious, during that time as well, how are you improving yourself, right? Because a lot of people will be going through what you went through during that period of I think a few months up until February, March 2024.
I wasn't scared to spend money on becoming better. I worked with Richard a lot on improving my packaging and my thumbnail, even from the very start. And continuing to read on storytelling and continue to spend more time on ideation. I think the biggest thing is that you just keep going and keep using the platform, creating your own videos, and you start to become a really, really talented editor. All these videos that you're seeing after the second and the third video failed, I hired an editor, second and third video failed, and I said, I'm heads down going to become the best editor on YouTube. I'm hands down going to make the best poker niche of thumbnails and titles. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to put my own time into it. And all these videos, I'm not putting this together in 10 hours. It's a 40 to 100, and then we'll get to a couple of videos where a little bit more time, even 120, 150 hours are spent editing, because I'm like, I'm going to make the best videos. And in that time, in those struggle times, you become amazing.
Yeah, and that you became amazing. But I'm also curious, right? In the world of IRL content, there's a lot of unpredictability, right? Especially with things with poker. So how do you plan your videos before shooting?
I do a lot of pre-shot plans. Essentially, the shots I know I want, whether it be the opening of the casino, outside the casino, me saying something before I sit down, and especially in a poker game where you never know what's going to happen at the poker table, a lot of it is adapting on the fly. A really good example of that is that I went to go play the biggest tournament in Taiwan. So that was the idea of the video. And when I get there, there's an amateur player, first tournament ever, who's almost about to make the money. And when you get close to making the money in a tournament, they call it the bubble. And he's showing this emotion like none other in every single hand. So it's like adapting to, okay, this video was about playing the biggest tournament in the world, but now I'm adapting to like this new storyline of this amazing amateur who's about to win his first tournament or cash his first tournament, and always being open to seeing how the story is going to adapt. In the IRL niche, you go in with a plan of the title, of the thumbnail, and then you just react to where you see the story developing. And then in post-production, I spend a ton of time before I ever start editing. I just look at the footage. I've done, which has been popularized on YouTube, I've seen this before, like sticky notes. But for me, it's just mostly like identifying Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, what the climax of the video is going to be before I ever start editing. And that'll give me a great vision for how the story is going to come together, and not spend time on minuscule edits when it's not even an important part of the general storylines developing. So plan even more before you start editing.
On to the next big outlier, right? Your biggest video so far. So you took that format of if I lose this hand, I owe my opponent a date, and we went one step further and added a baby, which is actually true, because by losing that first hand, you actually ended up having a baby with with your girlfriend. So yeah, can you talk to us about that? How did this come about?
So this video came into my head as soon as I heard she was pregnant. Again, I have, and everyone has these moments of aha, like light bulb, kind of a cliche to say it. But as soon as she asked me on the date, that next night, I'm staying up till 8 a.m, rewatching the stream, and I see the idea comes into my head. I don't have those moments all the time, but you will have those moments. In this hand, I didn't know the title, but when I heard she was pregnant, I was like, I have to tell my love story. This has to become a video. Like I saw it in the stars, this becoming a video, and I wasn't sure how I was going to title it and how I was going to package it, but it comes back to when you're in the ideation process of coming up with a title. We had a successful video, and I wish we could play the clip, Richard, where essentially we double down, and it's something.
Yeah, we actually have that proof.
We just doubled down. We just doubled down on something that worked. And when it came together, I think me and you both, we just saw that's good. You just have those moments when you're ideating, okay, this is good. This is good. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because this video, I think, could have had a lot less views if the packaging was more towards romantic or something like that. But this one, we kept the format. You had great storytelling again here, talking about the love story, and just taking the same format that worked in the past, but just doubling down, and then
Yeah, and unprecedented numbers. I went to bed the first day and I thought this is going to be 11 out of 10. I had a dream that it was an 11 out of 10, and I woke up the next day, I had 40,000 views again on a 10K view subscriber channel. This is crazy. And then we end up having like 100K days around the 10-day mark, which is just nuts. The channel has like 20K subscribers. Like 100K days is nuts. And yeah, the video just even so we're at 200 days after uploading it. It had a 250K month the past 30 days. So it's gotten 250,000 views in the past 30 days, which is crazy. So the video is clearly just the biggest reach it's ever had. We know we're at 18.4 million impressions. That has held a 9% click rate, which I think is pretty high for as many impressions as this and how many new channels that it's showing to. This video is going to do 3 million for sure. I don't know when it will stop, but I think its timeline is definitely not over. And with all the time that I do spend on my videos, I think I edited this entire video in a hospital on my laptop with none of the ingredients I usually have to make a successful video. But I'm so passionate about the story where it just kind of came together. And if you watch this video, if you're interested, it's very simply Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It's formulaic. Richard, I will show you my notes on pre-planning this video. Again, I spend a full day on pre-planning before I ever start editing, on the script, on how I'm going to come together with the story. And you see these little storytelling clues that I lend you at the very beginning of the video. It's like, what do I want? Okay. And then why can't I get that? And then what do I do about that? So it's just like we're answering the 6 simple questions about storytelling questions to get to the climax of the story. Packaging here is unbelievable because it's true. It's not clickbait. We had a baby. That's the climax of the video. But the storytelling throughout, I think, keeps you really hooked and entertained. It's 12 minutes long. Definitely the biggest scare of my life to post this video because it's so much of myself that I'm putting out into the world. And it was one of those moments before I press upload that I know we feel a lot as creators of, I don't know, hard to press upload. And then after I did, I've never been happier about it, but not just about the views, but I just think it's a really awesome video that I'm proud of, and I'll always look at it with a sense of pride.
Yeah, and we see in your lifetime graph, you go basically from 15K subs to 40K subs after that video, which shows that, yeah, any video can blow you up one by one. You just got to add them up. But your evergreen videos is pretty good. Your evergreen catalog, which is interesting. 250K in the past month after so many days after upload is pretty great.
Yeah, and I think this video was a pretty pivotal, a big pivotal moment in my Frankie C career. It's early March, and then all the videos after that started picking up more immediate views. And again, I'm just trying to push the boundaries with my storytelling. After that video and going into poker in Asia, which in the poker industry hasn't been done before. In the American poker, most people haven't played in Asia, so playing some high stakes poker in Asia was a nice contrast to the content that people are normally seeing in the niche. Thumbnails that I'm finding here, chip leader, for example, is just like I type in poker on 1 of 10 and I found a 15 million view video from World Poker Tour, and the thumbnail clearly has something going for it. So I put my own spin on it, put myself in there. I have pocket queens in a big moment. So like the thumbnail just comes together when you start ideating, using 1 of 10 and then just brainstorming the best title to come along with the idea. And yeah, the videos after that, we went from before that video averaging about 20,000 views to averaging about 300,000 views.
But it shows, like, I think so far in the past 30 minutes, we basically show like how anyone can do it. We were talking just 30 minutes ago about videos getting just a few thousands views, and now we're talking about 300K views per video, which is insane to think about. So I love to see it.
Yeah, we're at the point where it can start becoming, a viable career. It's at the beginning, it's like, okay, I can see it, and then I can see the potential, and then once you realize the potential, it's really awesome. And I would say the key to getting there is just to innovate, just keep pushing it, try to work as hard as you can, and just keep innovating. And I have all these videos that didn't have this many views at the start, but they were all doing like 3 of 10s, 2 of 10s. And then I just really went all out on one video. And I do want to mention this one because it was another it's going to be another million view video.
Yeah, and that's
And
the other bump actually we've seen in your lifetime
ex-
graph.
exactly. So not only do views correlate to number of subscribers, but viewer satisfaction correlates to how many subscribers that video gets. And you'll see in this video almost as many subscribers as way more subscribers than the first million view video that I had. And I think that this video itself, after putting about 200 hours of editing into it, just left the viewers with a different level of, wow, I've never seen a poker video like this. The way that I went back and essentially I took the story that I had and I realized there were pivotal moments in the story that needed more emotion. So I drove back to the casino where I originally filmed the video, put the same shirt on, and I just let myself feel the emotion of how I felt in that moment. And I recorded it and I put it in this video. And whether you could tell it's a rerun or not, it's authentic because that's exactly how I was feeling in the moment. That's my true emotion. And it just adds so much to this story. This video was only posted a few months ago. It's July 2nd. And so this definitely won't hit 1 million views. As you can see, it's a clear outlier on the channel. I would say the biggest thing that we had to decide was whether we wanted to give away the ending in the title. But I know Richard and I we talked about this one too. Just to get them to click, they'll be satisfied that they stay till the end. And it was more important for us to get the click than it was to reserve the fact that it ended up being a $51,000 win. I think it's a dilemma that we all go through, not trying to spoil the video in the title, but get them to click. So just realize that we all go through that.
I have a question, since I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. You are a full-time poker player, right? Why did you start YouTube? Why do both?
I grew up in an age, I feel like if you're around 25 years old, you can relate with this, where YouTube was my life when I was a kid. I watched KSI. I watched a lot of FIFA content. I watched a lot of video game content. And I really did admire the fact that you can make videos that people watch and that's going to be your sense of income. I started my own Minecraft channel when I was in 6th grade and tried doing my own FIFA thing. And yeah, I got a few thousand subscribers, but of course my interest kind of moved on past that fact. So it's something that I was interested in, but when, you know, your parents tell you to go to school, become an engineer, and life hits, you kind of give up those goals that you had. But when the opportunity comes for you, that's when you need to take it. And when I went to college to become an engineer, that's when I got invited to my first poker game. And I just had that, again, that aha moment that there's no one making poker content that is a complete amateur, like literally doesn't even know the game. I think that's interesting. My two best friends and I, we would drive to the casino together and we would play. The very first time we ever played at a casino, we'd play poker and record it. There's no one that's ever been a group channel, and there's no one that's goes as a complete amateur. It's always pros. So we thought that was unique, and that was interesting. So again, I still had to become an engineer. I still had to graduate for my parents' sake and for my own. And while growing the channel in college, it got about 200,000 subscribers. And it wasn't until after I got my first engineering job where my passion for YouTube was just so burningly high that I had to pursue it. And my other two friends ended up taking full-time jobs, and the opportunity for myself to make my own channel came. And I was like, man, I have to take it. I've been thinking about it since I was 10. So,
And to be clear, there was never a cross promo between the other and this
zero
one.
cross promo. Zero cross promo. This was a completely brand new channel. And I specifically did no cross promo because I didn't want to take away like brand space on the other channel. So it was just specifically like, look, we're going to grow this on our own. And it is more than 10x what we were able to do on any long form video. So it's pretty surreal. And just the experience I've gotten in those years in college has made me a better editor, and you just have to put time into it.
So yeah, that last video basically brought you from 50K views from what I'm seeing to like 80K views. And then after the rest, basically you just kept publishing. I believe 2 months ago you hit 100K subs around when you posted the I gambled 7 days straight in Vegas. Maybe you can talk about how you came up with that idea title coming out.
So this video was an immediate outlier on the channel after, you know, we started averaging about 200,000 views. I think the really cool part about my channel is that those I'm averaging 200,000 views, but that comes after months. And I see this with channels a lot, where the first 2 days doesn't necessarily mean that's how successful the video is going to be. You know, a lot of channels, the views accumulate over time, and if you look at my channel now, you'll see a lot of 200, 400, 500,000 view videos. In the first month, it maybe had 60K or 70,000 views. So like those accumulate over time as more people come into your channel and get recommended the video. This video though was not like that. It was an immediate success. I just blew it out of the water. Immediately was getting 200,000 views in like a week, and yeah, 250,000 views in a week. And I was like, wow, like that does not happen. The idea for this video has been on something that I touched at the beginning, was that I like these longer videos. So I started a challenge that I played poker every single day for 100 days. So I'm actually still working on that entire video that will be titled something similar to it. And I was like, okay, I have 100 days of content. Let's test the waters with 7 days. So the idea for 7 days straight is I didn't want to narrow it down to just playing poker. I played poker for 7 days straight. Gambling it's it's less niche. It's more widespread. So that's where I came up with I gambled 7 days straight in Vegas. But the idea for the thumbnail is a trend that's been going on for a very long time. It's just a side-by-side comparison. And the key to this that I think a lot of people miss in this thumbnail is progression. For some reason, I see thumbnails where the rich is on the left and then like the right, you can't even tell what the progression is. Like in this thumbnail, it's clearly I'm in a dingy, dusty casino and I don't have that many chips. And on day 7, I'm in a vault with tons of chips and tons of money. The specific text was found from a GTA video on 1 of 10 that I saw was an outlier. And they did like day 1 to day 100 or something like that. So the idea between the red and green, it clearly red means bad and green means good. Specifically for money, you know, red means you're down if you look at any stock graph, and green means you're up. So again, there's like all these minor correlations between the two. And then as far as the storytelling goes, just very clearly bringing people from each day without too much of a gap in progression in the story. We don't want too much exposition. We want progression, story progression. And I do think the title and thumbnail had a lot to do with the success of this video.
That's where we see how important it is. So guys, don't forget packaging, title, thumbnail, so important with the idea, of course. So yeah, basically your 100 days video should do well.
It's this, but times 100, right? Or times, it's pretty crazy.
2-3 million views minimum. You get those hundreds of thousands of views per video, but what would you say sets your channel apart from other poker-related YouTube channels out there? Because people might have thought that it's already oversaturated. There's just so much poker content online, yet yours was able to grow so fast. Can you talk more about that?
Definitely. There is more poker content ever. People were saying 2 years ago that it was the most saturated niche. And I looked at what the poker content creators were doing, and this is my idea for creating a new business. This is my concept for creating a new business, is make it 10 times better. And I looked at the most popular creator. He's averaging about 600 to 700,000 views. So I saw that there was a potential for a big ceiling. There's a lot of people that like poker, so I knew that it was a good niche to enter. And I think that assessing the niche is very important before you even start. But it combines a couple things. My passion for playing poker is going to be very easily seen in the videos. If you aren't passionate about the niche, you should not enter that niche. And the second thing is that I'm going to make the highly best produced storytelling in poker. And that was what I think a lot of people were missing. The best creator, I saw his channel and I thought, like, okay, his audio storytelling is great, but the visuals are stagnant. A lot of screenshot stills for over a minute, 2 minutes long, things that you would never do in other niches, but it was working in poker. So I saw this guy's just telling good stories on his mic. I could tell good visual stories. I could come up with better ideas. I can come up with better titles. The thumbnails were starting to look all the same on their channels, and I was like, I'm going to come up with more colorful, more faces in the thumbnails. It was very popular on poker. Everyone just posted poker chips, or just the hand being pulled. And I was like, why are we not taking things that are actually getting millions and millions of views and bringing it to poker? And that's where like you see a lot of the side-by-sides. My channel is very separated from other YouTube channels. Theirs is a ton of chips and mine's a lot of my face, and it's a lot of comparisons and side by sides between faces. And I think that definitely separates my channel. Like when you see a Frankie C video, mine standing out in your thumbnail feed better. And it has started to become more trending in my niche. I'm seeing more people starting to do this, which means it's working. So we're gonna keep innovating. I don't think anyone is spending as much time as me with ideation. Richard, we spent so much time ideating. I got a group chat with who I think is the most creative content creators in the niche. It's a tight knit group of a few of us, and we're just constant throwing ideas around, and just being able to bridge that with someone and come up with a viral video. So it's a money recipe: just passion, ideation, and hard work. It works.
I'm curious, how do you schedule your time in a week between, new baby, poker, full-time poker, and then posting videos? And is it still all you, or do you have a team now? How's that looking like?
It's a great question. It changes week by week. Some weeks I focus on playing poker, which is my filming. So I'll do more filming than others, but most weeks I created a system for how I get from no video to a full video after recording the footage. So essentially, I have an editor that will help get me to step 3, and then I take the video home from step 3 to step 5. So as far as a pre-roll, getting the videos together, I do the A-roll, which is voiceover, timing with the audio the visuals we want to see on screen. He B-rolls it, which means he's putting everything, the timing together, SFX, music, and then I get that final video from his B-roll, and I bring it to the final product. I see the whole thing after he's put it together, and I can see where we need to maybe change the story a bit and do more of the high-level editing. I've still been a very big part of the entire editing process, and I don't think I ever won't be. But as far as time management, it is by far, no doubt, the hardest part about my job, because I am always working, and when you post one video, the problem is you got to post the next video after that. And when each video takes a week to make, you're back at square one. So definitely taking the moment to celebrate the wins. I definitely took a day off after 100K subscribers and celebrated that with my family, and even celebrating the small wins. Like this 580K views in 2 months is crazy. Like, we got to celebrate that, and we got to enjoy that, and definitely not putting too much. One thing I've really done better is I don't put any negativity on myself if a video underperforms. Like, for example, I have a video here that's 145K in 2 weeks, which is underperforming on my channel, and I try to just perspective jump 145K. If you told me I was averaging that was a bad video for me a year ago, like what are we saying? Like that was the goal. 100 was the goal, and now like that's bad. So yeah, just not putting too much pressure on myself when the bad things happen, but giving myself all the credit, and or giving myself the chance to celebrate when things do go well. Time management is always going to be the biggest problem, but taking it day by day.
What's one piece of advice you would give a YouTuber starting today?
The biggest piece of advice that I would give you is focus on getting better at each part of the video process every time you make a video. For me, that started with, I'm going to read books about storytelling, watch TED Talks from the Finding Nemo writer, and I come up with how to tell the best stories. And I think immediately that I was able to put my first video. It was a little bit of luck with the title and thumbnail, but then after the first video, I realized that I was completely missing background music, anything with audio. So again, we go from storytelling, something I felt like I was immediately good at. Now I got to focus on my audio. I take my sound effects, my music design. Sound design is so important for telling a story, invoking the right emotion. So I just take it step by step. I watch each video. I think, okay, now after the sound design, the next thing that I wanted to start working on was, okay, how can I ideate more on my ideas, like to make my ideas bigger? So it's just taking, I thought that at some point my videos were getting a little bit repetitive. So just always coming up with how to make your videos better, and the views will come. I think it's focused more on making your videos better so that you enjoy them every single time. And if you enjoy the videos more and more, then I think other people will as well.
I'm also curious, over the year, basically, like you said, you're getting hundreds of thousands of views per video. How's the brand sponsorship evolved in the past year?
Poker is a very rich niche because of the fact that online gambling is a very profitable business. There's a lot of billion-dollar companies. I definitely have some ethical beliefs that has restricted me from making more money than possible, but I'll tell you exactly how it has started from 0 to 100 is the fact that at 0, no one wants to work with you. And as soon as you start getting more followers, you start getting more and more and more emails. But I think of my videos as short movies, so I'm very particular. I don't like putting advertisements. I know it's business, but I just think, why would I stop a movie with an ad? So I head down focused, and I said, before I take any advertisements, I'm going to make the best possible videos. And that's what I did. So for the first year, no advertisements on the channel at all. 100% lock in. I'm just editing. And then recently, as I've brought the editor in and brought some more people to my team, I got a graphics guy now. I hope to bring in a sound design engineer. And now I could put my business hat on, and I could take more emails, take calls. So the past 2 months, I've been just taking a bunch of calls. There happens to be a lot of different poker companies in the industry. So just working my way to come up with the one that I think is the most reputable, and not putting any of my ethics aside. Like, for example, just in my niche specifically, I don't want to promote slots. I don't want to promote things that I don't play and do myself. So I'll only promote companies that focus on poker. And I would recommend that to everyone else too, is don't compromise your ethics just for a check, because like I haven't made that much money on this channel. Like just recently I've been getting about $800,000 per month on the videos, but I just see that it's going to come. The right brand's going to come to me. So I've said no to a ton of brands. And I'm just waiting for the right one, and I'm sure it'll come soon.
Well, that leads to my next question, which is my favorite. What's your dream?
My dream is to work on a big movie. My dream is to work on a full budget movie. I have a idea for a Netflix show that would be the most similar comparison would be like Queen's Gambit, but for poker. And in that way, I could get all of my creativeness of coming up with storytelling and telling movies, and combine that with growing the game of poker, which is another one of my goals. So I do want to grow the game of poker, highlight it in a positive light, and for people to understand, it is a strategy game that incorporates gambling. It's not gambling without the strategy. So growing the game, I want to be financially independent from YouTube alone. Right now, I'm doing a combination of playing poker for money and my YouTube channel. So yeah, I would like to be financially independent from the Frankie C channel, and then work on some really great movies and TV shows, and hopefully parlay this catalog of content into some real world stuff.
Nice. So you're going to make the next rounders, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that. I didn't expect that answer, but it does make sense, because, again, I love the storytelling you do, and you're definitely in the right path for that. And to just bring poker more out there with a nice live action movie is awesome. Yeah, that's a great
Rounders
dream.
2.
Let's go. Nice. Well, Frankie, thanks again for joining us. I think this is going to be really insightful for people who are at 0, at 1K, 10K, or even in hundreds of thousands. Lots of great advice. So thank you again for joining us. And it'll be cool to see this in a year or two where you've grown since.
See you guys at 0 to 1 million.
Let's go. I love that. Guys, watch this other episode. Thanks. Peace.